Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm going to make a Valentine card, and I'm going to use my tried and true Bloomin Love stamp set that was from several catalogs ago, but I just simply love this. I think it's a favorite. I'm seeing a lot of saves on my Pinterest account with some of the stamps, and some of the cards that I made with this last year, and I just wanted to pull it up again and see what I could do with it using the new Brusho crystal colors and some different types of techniques. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon. The techniques we're going to do is some reverse embossing and some stamping. I think you're going to like it. So it's a little involved, but I think it comes up with just a really pretty and very different, very unique. Haven't seen anything else like this card. Okay, so let's get started. What you're going to need is you're going to need your Brusho Colors. You're going to need the Bloomin Love stamp set. And out of this stamp set, I took the framelit here and I cut out this heart. And this heart is, we're going to use this as a stencil or a mask, so to speak. So you're going to cut that out with your Big Shot and set that aside. Then you're going to need a piece of watercolor paper, since we're using Brusho, at 5 3 3/4. We're going to layer that with a foil sheet at 5 1/4 by 4, and then our base card is going to be 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to open it up. We're going to open it up this way. So there's our layer, and then we're going to have our watercolor paper, and we're going to do some neat things with that. Okay, so the other supplies that you're going to need to make this card are going to be, you're going to need Versamark, you're going to need some embossing powders. I'm using both the silver and I'm using clear, so you're going to need an embossing buddy. I'm using real red to do some of the stamping, real red, and you're going to need the stamps from this stamp set. And the stamps that you're going to need are, we're going to use the heart, and I'm using the sentiment, it's in the air, and I'm using several of the little flowers because we're going to do some embossing with those. And I may be pulling off a couple more, I just don't have the small blocks to do it right now. A little stamp as well. So let's just set these aside for now, and let's get started. My mask or my stencil on my watercolor cardstock. So I always like to take a piece of paper towel. If you've seen some of my Brusho videos, and I'm going to lay that down there, and I'm simply going to put my cardstock, and I have a rough side and a smooth side on my watercolor paper, so I always put the smooth side up. And then I'm going to put down my mask. And what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to put down a couple of washi tape pieces, just kind of very lightly. Just to hold it down just a little bit. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is my spritzer, and I'm going to spritz the surface of my paper and my my cardstock. Now I'm beginning to see that my cardstock is starting to lift, so I'm just going to kind of see if I can, because it's wet. And then I'm going to take, and I'm going to take a tool here. I'm going to hold this down like that, and I'm just going to make sure it's nice and moist. And then I'm just going to shake this on my surface. So what I want to see is kind of this heart image that I have right there. And this kind of got trashed a little bit, but that's okay. It got torn. But had it not gotten torn, I could have used this for another card. So we're just going to put this, we're just going to put that aside, and I can show you what I did with another card. So I kind of want a little bit more subtle look, so I'm just going to respray that. And okay, so you can see what I've done is I'm spraying the Brusho, and I'm kind of taking a little bit of it off, so that I have this pattern, this design on my cardstock. It's not too dark. It's just the right hue. Here's my original. This did get a little bit dark, and you can see this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this heart shape right here, because I'm going to put that, stamp that heart on it. So let's dry it off a little bit more. Okay, so there it is. You can kind of see my little heart image there. So now I'm going to lay it down. I'm just going to take a piece of cardstock. I mean a piece of paper, and I'm going to do the stamping of the heart using the real red. And what I want to do is, I do want to use my piercing mat, since this is a photopolymer stamp. So okay, so now that I've stamped that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the flowers from my stamp set, and there's several types. There are the type that are solid, and then there are the type that are the outline. So I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to work quickly because I'm going to use clear embossing powder, and we're going to emboss the shape of those flowers on our card. So I have my little tray here. I have my Versamark, and I'm just going to go ahead. This is dry, so I'm just going to make sure that I just kind of use my my embossing buddy, and let's start out with the largest stamp. So this is going to be all Versamark stamping. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking this large flower and I'm going to lay it right over. It's a photopolymer, so I can see where it matches that large flower. So everywhere there's a large flower, I'm going to stamp with my Versamark. Okay, so hopefully you can see where our flowers were stamped, and it really adds a really nice kind of a layer to our design. So the next thing, let me go ahead and put my clear away here, because now we're going to use our silver, and I'm going to put this away and make sure my stamps are clean. I'm just going to pop them off here. Should have all my stamps, because the next stamp I'm going to use is this stamp here that says "in the air," and it has a little love sign. So we're going to take our Versamark, and I'm using my silver, and we're going to stamp that in these middle places here. I'm going to make sure I get it there. That's kind of my main place, but I'm also going to stamp it over here. there it is. Isn't that pretty? Can you see that? How it's kind of turning out? It's really lovely. Very, and all we're doing is we're just taking the stamps, the Brusho, our embossing powder, and we're just doing, we're just kind of layering, just doing different layers. Let me put my silver away here. I'm going to go to my metallic shapes. They come in silver and gold because we're going to use our heart shapes here. And let's get all our pieces here because we're going to, now we're just going to go ahead and put this on here. Now, I thought about putting diamonds or, you know, rhinestones on it, but I think it would be a little bit too much. I do like the metallic shapes. So, you know, you can step it up by doing that. So here's the difference between this without the metallic shapes here. So you can kind of decide, or with the metallic shapes. And I also added a couple of metallic shapes in the flowers. And I'm missing one here because it fell off. But before I add that, let's stamp the inside of our card. So here's my cardstock to go inside my card. So there's my inside, and not to be forgotten, is, since we have the real red out, let's go ahead and take our stamp here and let's do our envelope. Isn't that just pretty? And I'm opening up my flap here, because what I'm going to do is we're going to stamp these hearts across the back of my envelope. It's just gorgeous. I mean, this red is just horrible on your photopolymer stamp. I mean, it turns it pink, but it doesn't, as you can see, it does not affect the ability for the stamp to stamp. It just makes a pink stamp. So look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, and I need to just wipe my hands because I'm all pink here. So I'm just cleaning my hands before I touch anything else. All right, so let's take this piece, and because this is very heavy, I'm going to flip it around, and I believe I have perhaps the last of my tear tape. I'm going to use, oh, that's it, no more. My tear tape is done. I was waiting for that moment because, ta-da! snort. There you go. So now let's go ahead and take our enamel shapes. I couldn't quite fit all of that on there, but I guess to balance it out, I'm just going to put one right there. And that kind of balances it out a little bit, I think, without getting too crazy. Okay, so then let's put the inside into our card. And I do need my snail. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. There you go. Beautiful card. Love is in the air. Cards made with our classic Bloomin Love stamp set that is in the annual catalog. It is available. I think it's a keeper. Definitely a go-to. I hope you like this video. Please go to my blog. Check out some of my other ideas at Stamp Art Connection, blogspot.com. Please like and follow, because I would appreciate that. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to support you. Thank you very much for watching. This is Kat Chancellor at Stamp Art Connection. Happy stamping.